Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, August 5, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems, that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your coworkers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the that's been like in your year recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that we still have Debbie, that has now been downgraded from hurricane back to a tropical storm. It's still affecting portions of the southeastern United States. And we still have that area of disturbed weather that has now entered the Caribbean. That still has a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. According to the Hurricane Center, showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave located over the eastern Caribbean Sea remain disorganized. Any development of this system should be slow to occur during the next couple of days while it moves westward over the eastern and central Caribbean Sea. Environmental conditions are expected to become more conducive for development later this week as the system moves across the western Caribbean Sea or the southern Gulf of Mexico. And we see that they've given it a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours. That's the next 2 days. And a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. We'll be talking some more about this system shortly. But let us focus our attention a bit on Debbie. We can see the clouds associated with her bringing overcast skies, showers and thunderstorms to portions of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. And the thing about this system is that it's going to be stalling out. So it's going to be bringing even more rainfall to those areas. So flash flooding is definitely a concern. So if you have relatives or friends in those states, please ensure that you contact them. Ensure that they take this matter seriously. As it relates to the tracks, we can see where the system is located right now across northern Florida, and it's expected to move to the northeast across Georgia, then back out to sea, and then back to the northwest into South Carolina right there. Then finally push towards the northeast across the eastern US. And we see that yes, the storm is expected to dip in intensity, probably becoming a minimal tropical storm, maybe even becoming a tropical depression. Then when it gets back out to sea, re-strengthening and heading back up to tropical storm status. Then after the next, let's say 72, 84, 96 hours, the system should definitely start weakening as it's inland and pushing towards the northeastern United States. And as such, the Hurricane Center has made the track very similar to what the supercomputer models are showing, and keeping the intensity remaining as an S, that's a tropical storm, back out to sea, then getting back inland, then weakening to a tropical depression. As of right now, it's packing maximum sustained winds of 58 miles per hour, and she's moving towards the northeast at 6 miles per hour. And we can see that they still have tropical storm warnings up for northeastern portions of Florida, sections of the Georgia coastline, South Carolina, and tropical storm watches up for northeastern South Carolina and southern North Carolina. And we know these are going to be changing as time goes on. On another note, let us take a look at what the experts are saying. Actually, the eastern North Pacific currently has 4 named storms. This is according to Philip Klossbach. He's actually a meteorologist at Colorado State University. He has actually a lot to do with the forecast from that university in general in terms of the amount of storms and hurricanes expected during the year. This guy is just filled with information. So he stated Carlotta, Daniel, Emilia, and Fabio, 4 storms are actually in the Eastern Pacific at once. And we've been seeing supercomputer models talking about this or highlighting this for the past month, but we can see that it's finally coming to fruition. Eastern Pacific finally lighting up. More than likely, this is gonna be the most in the way of storms that they're gonna be getting throughout the rest of the year, because as soon as the Atlantic starts to kick up and fire up during our peak, I'm sure that the Eastern Pacific is gonna be dead in general. And he's also highlighted that this is the first time since August 1974 that the Eastern North Pacific has had 4 named storms simultaneously. And we see the satellite images here showing these systems spinning away. And as a matter of fact, if we look back at the hurricane center's map right here, we can see them. As a matter of fact, one of them has died down. Daniel gone back to a tropical depression. Emilia still there. Fabio still there. Most of these, if not all, are gonna be pushing towards the north and west. So it's not gonna be like they're headed back to Mexico at all. So they're basically fish storms in general. Now let us put our focus back on what's predicted to come. This is a post from Andy Hazelton. He's actually a meteorologist or a scientist at the NOAA. That's basically the same as the National Hurricane Center. And he stated here at about 7:52 a.m. this morning, looking beyond Debbie briefly, the Atlantic should be increasingly favorable in the coming weeks as the MJO is basically where we have more rising air, more thunderstorms forming, more of these tropical waves becoming tropical depressions, tropical storms. So more rising air with the MJO is going to be coming into Africa. Lower shear is also forecast, and moisture should gradually increase. There's a couple waves already out there worth keeping an eye on. More to come probably. And we can see the wind shear map right here, showing the whites and the blues that represent little to no wind shear. The oranges and the reds represent the high wind shear. We see a lot of strong wind shear off the eastern United States coast right here, pushing to the north and heading into Europe right there. And we see the area, the Western Main Development Region and the Caribbean. That's where the systems are going to be primed to develop even more with the lack of wind shear in our area. And we can also see the MGO pulse that's expected to come into our neck of the woods. If we take a look at the tropical wave that's been highlighted by the Hurricane Center, we can see the clouds associated with it definitely affecting portion of the ABC Islands. I'm sure that they're indeed grateful for the rainfall, because we know those islands hardly get any rainfall at all. The Windward Islands definitely got on some of the rainfall last night into early Monday morning, and we can see that the system is trying to get its act together, but it's struggling a bit right now, which is why the Hurricane Center is stating that it's gonna be having a better chance of development as soon as it heads into the central to the western Caribbean. So we have to keep a close eye on exactly what happens with this system right here. And as it relates to what the supercomputer models are showing, we're just going to be going on to the next 168 hours as usual. Well, not 168 hours. Let's go to the next 96 hours. So the next 96 hours. That's what, the next 4 days if I'm not mistaken. And as usual, we're going to be focusing our attention on right here on the map. So the system is already right here across portions of the southeastern Caribbean. So we're just going to be looking at what both the Euro and the GFS models are showing as we go out to the next 96 hours. And we see, yes, the system is trying to get its act together, a bit more moisture in the next 2 days, especially to the south of Jamaica on the Euro. Some of this moisture making it into portions of Jamaica by 12Z on Thursday, which is actually 7 a.m. on Thursday. Definitely going to be getting some amount of rainfall from that system. And we can see that by the end of the 96 hours, we still have some moisture stretching all the way from the eastern to the western Caribbean. And more than likely, the heaviest weather associated with that tropical wave should be about to enter portions of Central America. What does the GFS show for the same time period? So we have to be showing both of these maps, because we know we are more certain about the forecast when we look at both the Euro and the GFS. And if they're in consensus, then the forecast is definitely higher to occur. So we can see that as early as 12Z on Thursday, which is actually 7 a.m. on Thursday, we have the system right there in the southwestern Caribbean. Some of the rainfall associated with it affecting portions of Jamaica by that time as well. We also see the L that represents an airflow pressure right there. to the east of Nicaragua. So it could be moving more so south than usual. And we see that by the end of the run, by 18th on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday, most of the moisture associated with that tropical wave should be across the Western Caribbean into portions of Central America. And regardless of development, we know that it's going to be bringing a lot of moisture. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected associated with this system for the next 96 hours. So both maps go all the way up until Friday. The Euro showing up to 12Z on Friday, which is actually 7 a.m. The GFS right here going all the way up to 18D on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. And we do see the colors associated with the rainfall from this tropical wave, reaching all the way from the Eastern Caribbean into the Central and Western Caribbean. We can also see that the most in the way of rainfall should be where we have the most purples. That's where we have the 3 inches or more of rainfall affecting portions of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia. Some of this rainfall definitely making it as far north as Jamaica, but it's not going to be that robust. We see more yellows, oranges, and reds than anything else that represents up to 0.5 of an inch of rainfall, all the way up to an inch of rainfall. Either way, we'll take it. We are in the month of August, and we usually receive an increase in the amount of rainfall that we get, and we'll definitely take the rainfall, especially considering the heat that some areas are currently experiencing. Alright, so let us see what's happening on the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we still have the ridges of high pressure to the north that are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And we can see the tropical wave right here that we just mentioned, the other tropical wave right here to the west of the Cabo Verde Island. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see Debbie spinning away right there of the southeastern United States, definitely lashing portions of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina getting on some of the cloud cover as well. And we can see the clouds associated with the tropical wave right here, bringing some amount of overcast skies, showers and thunderstorms to portions of the Windward Islands, still getting on some rainfall, especially across Trinidad and Tobago, northern Venezuela, and sections of the ABC Islands. And we can also see the clouds associated with that other tropical wave right there. But most of the moisture associated with the tropical wave is squashed to the south in the intertropical convergent zone. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, August 5. It was stated that sections of some northern and western parishes in Jamaica would have received some rainfall on Monday afternoon. And we know northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top, so Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While western parishes, I know we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? A post was made at around 4:25 p.m. on our Twitter page. By the way, keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but on our Instagram page at Weather.Jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So the infrared satellite images of the infrared satellite image of Jamaica was posted, and it highlighted the thunderstorm that portions of central and western Jamaica were receiving at the time. So we saw the high cold cloud tops as represented by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, and the blacks, not to mention the sparkling white dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And we definitely had an abundance of that across sections of Hanover, Westmoreland at that time. And we even had some clouds bring some isolated thunderstorms to inland areas of some central parishes. So definitely sections of St. Elizabeth, northern Manchester, northern Clarendon, southern St. Anne, southern Trelawney, section of St. James got in on the mix as well. And we definitely had some of our commenters on our Instagram page confirming the rainfall. TG Mindal stating an hour ago, raining in Mobay. So too does crazy underscore uniquely, raining in Mobay now. Me have me close them to hang out after. So bring it on. Me been a melt over ya. Can't get a good night sleep. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can definitely see what took place. We had more of the low level flow of clouds building as they got into portions of central Jamaica, but it was more so confined to northern parishes in Jamaica than anything else. That was where most of the thunderstorms definitely occurred, across northern parishes. Then we had the upper level winds blowing those high cold cloud tops off towards the southwest or the west southwest, and all of that has to do with the upper level wind shear brought about by the outflow from Debbie. Actually, we're going to be looking somewhere on that later on. But the south coast, the eastern portion of the island, definitely void of any rainfall today. This is the halfway tree live cam from about 1:44 p.m. today, and we saw that it was business as usual, sunshine, not much in the way of rainfall, cloud showers and thunderstorms across the southeast, across halfway tree at all at that time. By the way, if you don't know by now, we have a partnership with See Jamaica's YouTube channel. So if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just go over to their channel. They also have live streams of Crossroads, the Kingston Harbor, and even the Bogwalk Gorge. So we saw it was definitely more so into a sunny to partly cloudy. We see those clouds over the hills of St. Andrew right there, with a very busy halfway tree on this Monday afternoon. But if we take a look at what took place on the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours, this map does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall. Some areas might not have gotten in on that rainfall, especially on the south coast, but more so northern and western Jamaica definitely got in. And if we take a look at the infrared satellite images again, look at the thunderstorms that definitely lashed portions of St. James and Hanover. Look at those sparkling white dots. But if we reload these images so that we have the very, very latest, we're just going to be looking at the latest image, not the latest images. And we're going to be comparing it to the Doppler radar images. Alright, so this is the latest image as of 55 minutes past the hour. This just came out at 6:55 p.m. considering that's a little after 7 p.m. right now. We still see some leftover clouds across western Jamaica. Still have some thunderstorms right there off to the west. And if we match it to the latest Cuban Doppler radar images, so in Cuba, we know that they're 1 hour ahead of us. So this should be showing the 8 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. The 8 p.m. Doppler radar, if it actually loads. Let's give it some time to load. Alright, there we go. So 7:50, 8 p.m. So this is the 8 p.m. Doppler radar images, which is actually 7 p.m. Jamaica time. And we can see it making sense with what we just saw on the latest satellite image. The clouds off to the west of the island right now. The rainfall off to the west of the island right now. Those greens, yellows that represent moderate to heavy rainfall, like what we're seeing on the key on the right. Not much taking place on land right now. Most of the thunderstorms have died down at this time. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can tell we have 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Tuesday, the temperature should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Tuesday. When we calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Tuesday, and we can see Jamaica right here still embedded in some gold colors that we know represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of August across Jamaica are about the same, are almost the same as July, 91 degrees Fahrenheit. And take a look at the thermometer, 91 degrees Fahrenheit when calculated is about 32.7 degrees Celsius. So if we're going to be receiving up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for Tuesday, it should be anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature. If we take a look at the siren dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we can see that we still have the browns that represent siren dust across portions of Jamaica, but we're glad that we're not getting in on those very dark shades of browns that represent the vigorous plume that can cause the very hazy skies and trigger some amount of asthma or sinusitis in some persons. All of this pushing from east towards the west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. So more Saharan dust is going to be in the air, the sky won't be looking as blue. Some persons asthma or sinusitis might be triggered, even though it's not that vigorous of a plume. We know how bad the saharan dust can get, so please ensure that you have your meds handy. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, not much change. We see this 0.5 meter wave heights to 1.5 meter wave heights across the majority of the Caribbean, but we see the purples across the central Caribbean associated with the tropical wave that represents up to 2 to 3 meter wave heights. We also see some high wave heights across the waters to the southeast of the United States associated with Debbie. We also see some high wave heights in the purples and burgundy colors to the southwest of Mexico associated with the systems that the Hurricane Center have highlighted. And it makes sense, the strongest winds are going to be in those spots. The yellows are represent up to 25 knot winds to the south of Hispaniola associated with the tropical wave. The yellows, burgundies, even pinks, purples represent some strong tropical storm force winds across the waters to the southeast of the United States. And the yellows and burgundy and purples and pinks that represent the strong winds associated with the tropical systems over the waters to the southwest of Mexico. So it all makes sense. While everywhere else should be getting in on those greens or bluish greens that represent anywhere from 5 to 10 to 20 knot winds. But as it relates to Jamaica's wind forecast for tomorrow, not seeing much strong winds at all. Look at the wind forecast, as a matter of fact, seeing more so of a northeasterly flow on the north coast, coming in from the east, curving upward on the south coast. And we also see the air piling up across inland areas of some eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica. So that's exactly what might happen on Tuesday. We might have all of that air piling up across inland areas, bringing some overcast skies. Then we're going to be having those cumulus clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds. So we might just have some more afternoon thunderstorms taking place across those spots. And with the upper-level wind shear still expected to come more so from the east and northeast, something similar to what happened today. So this is what I was referring to earlier. If we take a look, this is Debbie right here. And we can see the upper-level winds, the outflow from the system, definitely inducing a trough-like pattern across the island with those upper level strong winds. And this was exactly what took place today. If we take a look back at the infrared satellite images, or the rainbow satellite images, we can see those high cold cloud tops being blown off towards the west southwest, especially across Jamaica. Taking a look back at the close-up of Jamaica, we can see what took place when we had those thunderstorms. High cold cloud tops were being sheared off towards this west southwest. This is what I'm talking about. The outflow from Debbie definitely causing a lot of strong upper level winds, and tomorrow the wind shear is still going to be coming in from the east northeast. So if we're going to be getting on the afternoon rainfall when you have the daytime heating, most of that is going to be pushed up towards the west southwest, maybe bringing some more overcast skies to sections of some southern parishes again. And if we actually take a look at the rainfall forecast, we don't see much happening in the morning on Tuesday, but during the afternoon, we start to see a build-up of those blue colors that we know represents rainfall. This is valid for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the GFS, and this is the Euro right here, and we kind of see that there's going to be some consensus where the rainfall is expected. Definitely inland areas of some central and western parishes, maybe some eastern parishes, some western portion of eastern parishes. So maybe section of Kingston, St. Andrew, section of St. Mary, St. Catherine, sections of St. Anne, Clarendon, Manchester, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth. You're a bit more robust with the darker shades of blues and greens across portions of St. Mary, Northern, St. Catherine, sections of Kingston right there. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. We'll see if the Euro beats the GFS. GFS has more of the heaviest rainfall across northern Manchester, southern Trelawney, northeastern St. Elizabeth. We'll see how that goes either way. Both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus that there's going to be some amount of rainfall within the next 24 hours. We see the greens and yellows that represent what, up to 0.1 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to 0.4, 0.3 of an inch of rainfall. That's on the Euro. The GFS a bit more robust, showing up to at least 0.5 of an inch in the orange colors, especially across western Jamaica. Either way, we'll take it. We're in the month of August. We usually see an increase in the amount of rainfall in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Montego Bay's bar graph right here at the bottom, rainfall measured in inches, up to almost 5 inches of rainfall during this month for Montego Bay. Kingston's bar graph right here at the top, rainfall measured in almost in millimeters, getting almost to 100 millimeters right there. And you can do the math yourself. We have a nice graphic right here showing rainfall from inches to millimeters. We know 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. So we'll definitely take it. We need the rainfall. And we can see right here that these graphs are definitely showing the annual rainfall, so from January through to December. And you can visit weatherandclimate.com to find out about the actual annual rainfall for your specific parish. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So yes, we have the clouds associated with the tropical wave doing a number on especially the Windward Islands today, section of the southern Leeward Islands too, section of northern South America and southeastern Central America definitely getting in on some thunderstorm activity today. The southeastern United States, Florida, the northern Bahamas definitely got lashed by Debbie in general recently. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we're going to be seeing exactly what's happening right now. Definitely see some showers right there across the southern Leeward Islands, section of Dominica, Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda, section of Puerto Rico and the southeastern portion of the Dominican Republic. Definitely gotten on some rainfall today, but during the day they didn't get much in the way of rainfall at all. Most of the rainfall was across the northern Windward Islands, and we can see it all even better on the Barbados radar, showing a lot of rainfall to the north of there, pushing from east to west. So there's definitely some more rainfall in store for section of Dominica tonight, spilling into section of Martinique. And we can see some rainfall to the south of Barbados as well, across section of Trinidad and Tobago, with more rainfall possibly to come from the east. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall that western portion of Jamaica got today. We can see some rainfall across portions of Honduras, sections of the northern portions of Venezuela, section of the ABC Islands, Colombia, and we can also see some rainfall across section of French Guyana. And as relates to what's expected within the next 24 hours, keeping in mind that both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 3Z on Wednesday. When that's calculated, that's about 10 p.m. on Tuesday. So this is all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. Not saying that's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but if they're not already getting rainfall right now, they're going to be receiving rainfall within the next 24 hours across portions of Florida, the northern Bahamas, section of especially the southeastern portion of Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. And we see those greens and yellows that we know represent anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to 0.3 of an inch of rainfall. So the rainfall increases the more south we go, so especially to the south of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. We also see some rainfall in store for sections of Guyana, Suriname, some isolated showers for French Guyana, definitely a lot of rainfall for Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, sections of Belize, Guatemala as well. And if we actually take a look at both the Euro and the GFS modes, we see that both of them are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.